everyone, and welcome to the July eNewsletter. This month in the blog section, I have updated my long-standing post, my wiki post I call it, on RRIFs, Registered Retirement Income Funds. Give it a read if you haven't already. It's one I keep bringing up every once in a while whenever a client has a question about RRIFs. Usually, more often than not, it's someone who is close to retirement or is at the point where they have to convert their RRSPs into RRIFs. And so often they don't have any idea how RRIFs actually work, what they are, what happens to my RRSP when I retire, or when I need to convert into a RRIF. Should I wait till 71? Should I do that sooner, etc., etc.? I really recommend everyone give it a read, even if you're far from retirement. If you're someone who's contributing money into an RRSP, it makes sense to understand and educate yourself on what actually happens on the other side. What happens when I do take that money out of the RRSP? Understand the full tax picture. You're putting money in, saving some money today on your taxes, later taking that money out and paying tax on it. It's not a bad deal, actually. You should save taxes over the long term, but it may not be as wonderful as it might seem that you simply save all those taxes all those years and then have no consequence down the road. So give that a read, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My good reads section in this email, I kept it fairly tight, just 4 good reads that I think everyone should either read or watch. The Capital Group Mid-Year Outlook, I've been sharing these for years. They're always great infographics, a great answer to the question you might have for me: where are we today in terms of the economic cycle or where the markets are? You don't have to read it. If you just look at all the pictures, it's well worth your time. And I finish up this email writing a bit about protecting your personal information. This is something I hatched up after seeing an absolutely appalling example of a well-meaning organization sharing its members' private information on their publicly facing website. It's understandable that there's a generation of people who never really did any type of cybersecurity training or how to protect your information, what information needs to be protected, who maybe have over the years had all their information online, whether it's having your phone number and home address in the white pages, which ultimately ends up on Canada 411, or just never thought much of, putting their own personal information online or putting someone else's information online. In today's day and age, our information that's on the internet is accessible by billions of people. They're not all well-meaning. It is crucial that we minimize what of our own information is online, and that's what I talk about in my latest Scam, Schemes, and Terrible Financial Advice. In this case, protect yourself from scams by limiting the information that is online. So I'm going to finish this video off talking about this infographic from Dimensional Funds. This is an update to one they update every year with the markets up to December 31st. A nice visual of the global stock markets and market capitalization. It's something we don't see that often because we always think of, I own a Canadian equity fund, an international equity fund, US equities, global equities. How big are the markets of particular countries in the world, even particular companies? And what they do here is show in terms of size the various countries of the world. And it gives you sort of a little bit of an insight on how there are maybe some inequities and how countries are represented in the world as opposed to the sizes of their economies. We see, for example, on this graphic that 62% of the world equity capitalization, the value of all stocks combined, is just the United States. Now, the world economy, I don't remember what the latest number is for world GDP, but the US, although it is the largest economy, is not quite 62% of the world economy. So their stock market is really disproportionately overrepresented in the world. Of course, there are a lot of US-based companies that do business all around the world, and that's what that has resulted from. If we look at Canada up here at 3%, Canada is also relatively overrepresented in the world. Canada, if you think of us, we're 40 million people. We're economically probably smaller than the United Kingdom or Germany. Germany is only 2% of the world markets, although they are a bigger economy than us. We see obviously Europe as a whole, which has a population much greater than the United States by itself, and probably is economically a bit bigger. Has markets that are smaller. Part of that is simply the fact that the mix of companies in Europe, There's probably a bigger mix of privately owned companies versus publicly owned. That could be part of the reasoning why. And then we see kind of what the rest of the world looks like in terms of how big different countries in the world are, relatively speaking. We see China becoming a bigger share of the world. Japan, which at one point actually was bigger than the U.S. on the in the global stock market allocation. If you look back to the late 80s, early 90s, has shrunken to be barely bigger than China these days. Or really, if you took China and Taiwan combined, they're about the size of Japan. NVIDIA Corporation on its own is bigger than the entire Canadian stock market. And otherwise, looking at the world, it's interesting to see how big the developed world, adding together United States, Canada, the various yellow boxes, are compared to the developing world. While the developing world is becoming a bigger and bigger part of GDP globally. So anyways, I found this fairly interesting. Again, the link to this PDF is right in the email if you want to look at it a bit more closely. Some interesting stats there. That is it for now. Hope everyone's enjoying their summer. And I will be back with the next e-newsletter sometime in the middle of August. Take care.